Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Conspiracy Farm, where we don't start the conspiracies, we just add the water. And now, your host of the most state-of-the-art, most informed podcast on the interweb, I present to you Pat Miletich and Jeffrey Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for...
Cool. Locked and loaded once again, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode, another installment coming to you, the Conspiracy Farm, where, ladies and gentlemen, we do not find the conspiracies. We just simply add a little bit of water. And I am, as always, your ever-faithful co-host, Mr. Jeffrey Wilson, with my partner in crime, UFC Hall of Famer, Pat Miletich. My God, what in the entire fuck has happened to the world in the last several days, my friend? We have accusations of double agents. The president's a double agent. Sessions, the attorney general's a double agent. We have accusations of Trump Tower being surveilled and monitored by the former Obama administration. What the hell? And clashes. Berkeley, we had some anti-Trump, pro-Trump clashes yesterday or a couple days ago in California. Champ, what is happening to the world?
Well, it's obvious that the deep state is for real. The leftovers from the Obama administration and the State Department, DOJ, and other places within our government are actively trying to take Trump down. And I mean, when you look back on it now, the reports of Trump going off on his administration about Kelly having to resign, he's furious about that. He's furious now even more about finding out about this surveillance stuff that's been going on. And you know, it's impossible for the Obama administration to deny. Obama even himself said, you know, I didn't order any wiretapping. And look, if anybody for 1 second thinks that Obama didn't know about this, I don't know what you're smoking, because, this is a political opponent, a massive political opponent to the Democratic National Convention, the Democratic Party. And I guarantee that he knew about this.
Well, I mean, and this obviously comes on the heels of what we already knew, with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the guy who submitted, I forget his name, I apologize, God rest in peace to the gentleman who did the subpoena for the DNC, right. Seth Rich. I mean, this comes on the heels of some, the Podesta emails, which, I mean, apparently we forgot about all that.
Dude, how hard is it? How hard is it for the Democrats to lie when the media is lying for them? They corroborate their stories. They're not even talking about the real hacked election that the Democrats did to Bernie Sanders, right? They won't even talk about it, brother.
No, I'm with you, man. This is the whole thing. I mean, the frustration of like people's short memories. It's just like, I get it.
No, it's just the masses that are just completely blind to the truth. And, do you remember seeing the footage of the Democratic National Convention out there in Denver?
Yeah.
Where the superdelegates and people were being told that they had to vote for Clinton or they were going to get run out. It was insane. And the entire group of Bernie people that took up like at least half of the arena got up and walked out, and the Democratic National Convention hired people off the street to come in and sit in those seats and cheer.
To fill in the gaps, yeah.
Think about that, dude. Think about how corrupt that is.
Well,
and now we've got it. I will put nothing past Democrats, the Obamas, the Pelosi's. All these people are so evil and so intent on destroying this nation and destroying the rule of law that they'll go to any lengths. And this wiretapping proves it. And for any Democrat out there that says that it didn't happen, no, it did happen. There were two requests for FISA, basically two FISA requests, which is the international, basically the spying internal government court, where they have to get subpoenas basically, and where they can actually wiretap people. And on top of that, when you start listening to an American, when you're spying on a foreigner, when an American comes on, you actually are supposed to stop listening. Right. Without a specific subpoena that says you can listen to that person. So the first FISA request was turned down because Trump was named. In the second one, they talked about a server. a server that was potentially connected to banks in Russia that Putin was close with.
Yeah, the SVB Bank and the Russia's Alpha Bank. Those are the two that I recall being mentioned. That the original Pfizer request was warranted for, or was made for.
Right, and Hillary Clinton knew about this. Hillary Clinton said in one of her tweets in October, was it, when this Pfizer request was granted, that she said sources close to me or within the government said that there are documents now being revealed that tie Trump to the Russians, right? So It was all just a bunch of shit. Just a bunch of shit to sabotage Trump's presidency.
Well, and this when we know for sure through the Clinton Foundation, again, whatever, I hate to even preface this shit when I do this like right, left, but through the Clinton Foundation, they gave the Russian government 20% of our uranium to Uranium One, a Russian company. So, again, one of these selective things that we just choose, or people have just chosen.
Obama okayed it.
Yeah, dude. This was the full-on game that the Clintons were running through the State Department, dude. I mean, how amazingly of a pimp setup did they have? Like literally, a State Department's going around the world, and then I also have this nonprofit or whatever it was organization that supposedly, I mean, Jesus. That's going to be another conversation, but ladies and gentlemen, this the not necessarily Pizzagate, but the pedo thing is not done. Let me just drop it right there and leave it right there. But that stuff is not done. The Haiti, it's all other stuff is coming up with what was going on in Haiti. And I'm just saying this, and I honestly hesitate to get into it because it is such a third rail. So much of what we're seeing and hearing now, a lot of it has to still do with that. I know it doesn't seem like it, ladies and gentlemen, on the surface, but there is
anything to bring down the people that are going to bring them to justice is what it comes down to.
Yeah,
and look, I'm not going to claim to know any specific politician or anybody that's involved in that. Obviously,
right.
There's a lot of people that are getting really nervous. I know that, and they're doing anything they can to tear Trump down and try and paint him as a traitor and a guy that's working on behalf of Russia. So that when they do come out with this stuff, they think that half the country, these liberal lunatics, are going to do what they're doing out in UC Berkeley and go in riots and turn it into martial law, and everybody forgets about it, right?
Well, I mean, I certainly hope it doesn't go that way, but I mean, that's segueing into that, man. What are your thoughts about that the other day? I mean, you had of course, your black hooded, everyone, hoodied up. Masked up, nobody could see their face, jumping people, stuff got bloody. I mean, you saw, obviously it wasn't the most alpha male contingent out there throwing fists, but this is something that could seriously spiral. I look at these kids out here doing this stuff, this anarchists or whatever, even the paid contingent with their Molotovs and their hammers busting windows. The other side, if you will, has been very patient watching this. Things could easily come to a head, and the other side has more than Molotov cocktails, and things could get very ugly.
Yeah,
I just hate to see
the other
that
side's
happen.
a bunch of veterans, and a bunch of good old boys and bikers, and just a lot of people that have tactical know-how and actually know how to operate equipment and do work the right way, not run around with a bunch of friggin' sticks and baseball bats. This is
yeah, absolutely.
This is they're and to be honest with you, these people, we know that some of them are being paid to foment this hatred and this violence. The powers that be, I'm sure, are paying these people to foment so much hatred and violence that eventually martial law has to be brought in, and who knows what steps happen next. Just anything to destroy the Trump presidency, turn the country upside down. And I think they were going to do it anyway, to be honest with you. I think that look at how Black Lives Matter, the talk of police abuse on African Americans and all this other stuff that used to be the hotbed while Obama was in. Now the media is not even talking about it. Now they've just totally switched gears and thrown those people to the trash heap when it comes to the news, and now they're just going after Trump being a traitor. They have to move on to new stuff, Jeffrey, and that's all they're doing. And they think that this is the big thing, and it's all being discredited right now. And I'm telling you, man, it's going to backfire on them. Eventually, when this whole thing, when this powder keg goes up and it backfires big time on them, it's going to be ugly because they're getting desperate. I mean, some of these Democratic politicians talking about how much trouble Trump's in and all this other stuff. They're just, dude, it's mystical garbage. You know, it's just.
Well, I mean, they're hollering impeachment, and the man's only been in like a month, but his win, and it's interesting to see because I don't. For me, even in some of our previous episodes before he won, I was skeptical. I did not think he was going to win. I did not think it could happen. But since it did, it has thrown the whole system obviously into a certain tizzy. I mean, some of it, I don't know. I don't know if it's still the grand scheme. This is all what they wanted, but if they didn't, this has definitely fucked their game up and their agenda up. But I mean, still that Black Lives Matter contingent, all these different social justice contingents are still going to be in play because you're seeing them out in the streets still.
Sure. Yeah, there's always going to be people that want to get paid when they don't have any money, right? They'll do whatever they need to.
Well, I mean, this goes to what, I mean, other, larger perspective, ladies and gentlemen, this goes to what other people have said is being organized and engineered, especially now it's getting warm in this summer. I recently, I think we talked about in other episodes, there's been people who've spoken on George Soros and other outside entities funding these kind of things, especially now since Trump has won, creating, a crescendo coming this summer, this spring, leading to kind of possibly what you're talking about. I don't know if it's going to be a martial law type thing, but like you said, it's, to me, and I think you've even alluded to it too, now that they've lost, this contingent that has lost, they don't give a fuck. They are willing to take this. They are not going to do 4 years. Fuck that. They will scorched earth this bitch before they deal with 4 years of their perceived nemesis, Darth Trump and shit. So, they
desperately want to hold on. They desperately want to hold on to power, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's
over. That's over though. So now it's like literally, I mean, it's over big time. You got Trump presidency, Congress completely controlled by Republicans. The Supreme Court is literally about ready to get taken. I mean,
dude, and now the losers in Congress, we're talking not even passing the repeal to Obamacare.
And then right? that's clearly a whole clusterfuck as well.
That's scary stuff, That's why specifically why you were elected. Now you have complete control of both houses of Congress and the White House, and you're telling me I'm thinking Trump's going to sit down with those guys probably and go, no, you're gonna pass it, and this is the way it's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I mean, of course, the Obamacare and repealing, I mean, those are all, I mean, important issues. But again, as I've spoken about before, those are almost issues it's almost pointless to get to when you have this house of cards machinations going on behind the scenes. This, like you said, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, it's so fucking funny to hear and see the term deep state being now used, which has been around in when I say like the conspiracy zeitgeist term for a very long time, but it's now becoming like mainstream, the deep state. This shit has been around for a very long time. And it's honestly, in my opinion, we're seeing it played out right now, and it's all about not letting, I think, Trump implement his agenda, which I think has fucked up their larger globalist agenda. Right. And like I said, and you even said, they're willing to take this whole thing down. Like now that their power is wrapped, it's just crazy, dude. Because when I heard, I mean, in the last literally 72 hours, there was like, hey, Obama tweet, Donald Trump's tweet was like, hey, Obama wiretapped me, which of course Obama specifically didn't do. And then of course all the Sunday news and everyone was like, oh, how absurd this is. And then within a few hours it came out that yes, there were Pfizer requests to tap Donald Trump, obviously not specifically designed by Obama, but it happened. This is, I mean, this is
Valerie Jarrett and
yes.
Loretta Lynch and all those folks, what they were doing.
And in FISA, from what I understand about Pfizer requests, the be-all, end-all arbiter of whether or not this goes forward is the Attorney General. They might go through certain judges, but from what I understand, the be-all, end-all determiner of requesting a Pfizer request is the Attorney General. At that time would have been Loretta Lynch. So it even makes it that much more shady. And just, I mean, it's just crazy, dude. Like Like you just said, man, this is like Nazi Germany Stasi shit, dude. But people just still don't give a fuck.
Think of the chess match going on. The Democrats get Kelly to resign. They get Sessions to recuse himself from the investigation about all this stuff with the Russian stuff. And so now that this comes up with the wiretapping, Sessions isn't the one that can say, I want this investigated. The second in command under him, who's a layover from the Obama administration, is the guy that's supposed to do that. You think he's going to do that? So now Trump has to go, you're fired, and then find somebody else and throw him in there. I'm hoping to God it's Trey Gowdy and saying, go after him.
Yeah. And no one asked the question, how did that come out? How did that transmission between Flynn and the Russian ambassador come out? That was straight,
straight leak. It's illegal.
Yeah, I mean, and that was obviously like something. And
listening in on him was illegal.
Right.
They can listen in on the Russian, but they weren't supposed to be listening in on Flynn. That's illegal. That was illegal.
It's for me, dude. It's full on fucking House of Cards taking place, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's just like the Machiavellian nature of politics. I wish people would truly get. I wish they didn't think of it as this, like, I don't know, Norman Rockwell painting fucking, I don't know, but it's deep and it's dark, man.
And again, going back, all of this stuff about the wiretapping is proven because it was talking about, in the Guardian, which is a British paper, the Washington Post, New York Times, all were writing about this. I think as far back as like late October, November, all the way up until Election Day. Or not Election Day, when swearing in day for Trump was one of the New York Times headlines on it, linking Trump to the Russians through surveillance.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, as they said, they were laying these breadcrumbs throughout even before the election.
Well, and that's the thing that so it's backfired on them because they thought Clinton was going to win, right?
Yes.
So
exactly.
so the dumbasses now at the Washington Post and New York Times and all these other liberal rags. And reporting agencies are saying, no, none of this wiretapping stuff's true. What are you talking about? You've been reporting on it for months.
Right.
You people think we're that stupid? Like you're reporting to
That's almost kind of what they count on. Or kind of forgetting that, Obama, when it was his term, unleashing the IRS on certain political contingents targeting journalists and even, especially.
That's the bigger picture that liberals. So any liberal that's listening to this, if you've lasted this long, if you can deal with the truth, imagine that if people are not held accountable for this, going after a political opponent, well, what happens when Trump does this? What happens when Trump decides to use the IRS to go after liberal organizations and use the FBI and arrest political opponents like Obama did with Dinesh D'Souza and the guy that made the video that was on YouTube that they blamed the Benghazi attacks on. They threw the poor bastard in jail.
Yeah.
They didn't want him to talk.
Yeah.
That's what that was about, right?
Yeah.
So, it's complete garbage. So any of you liberals out there that think because Obama and the Democrats are your people fighting for your social justice, well, think again, because now you got the other guy in charge. There's a new sheriff in town. What happens if Trump goes bad like Obama and goes that bad?
And it seems very selective, bro. And I'm an equal opportunity roaster. George W. Bush came out recently and was like, I think the media was an indispensable thing for democracy. It's like, wow, are we really going selective fucking, on that? Like, he was paying off to the tune of hundreds of thousands of different reporters to create quote unquote fake news. And definitely having a stifling kind of vibe on the media as far as getting out what was going on with WMDs. Like, they very much so controlled that whole narrative. I mean, of course, it happens on both sides, obviously, but I mean, what we're seeing now, dude, it's I don't know. I guess nothing's really new under the sun, but like you said, dude, and I've even heard Patrick. You had a clip before we went on, and this is all rights and considerations to the proprietors of this clip. Want to cue up a little bit of what you had played a moment ago
Mark Levin.
Hook that up for us.
Mark Levin was on Fox and Friends this morning, or it was yesterday morning. I'm sorry, talking about this, and this is after he laid out, the proof that shows that there was wiretapping going on, and then they ask him a few more questions. So hold on one sec.
Now bear with us on the sound.
Back to Fox and Friends. Still joining us live from Levin TV studio, former Chief of Staff to Attorney General Edwin Meese, constitutional lawyer and radio talk show host, the great one, Mark Levin. Mark, I got to tell you, even just in the break, the response has been overwhelming to the case that you laid out, which is devastating. And Abby and I were talking in the break about sort of where it goes from here, right, Abby?
Yeah, that is the question, because you've laid out your case in this last blog. You're very passionate about the evidence that you have, and as Pete said, we have so many people writing us in saying, thank you for speaking your voice. They're right behind you on this. My question, though, how does this play out in the media? How are they going to continue to cover this story?
Let me first say, this is the case made by the New York Times, the Washington Post, McClatchy, and the rest of them. I just put it together as a former Justice Department official. And Donald Trump here is being attacked for what he tweeted. Donald Trump is the victim. His campaign is the victim. His transition team is the victim. His surrogates are the victim. These are police state tactics. I am telling you this as a former chief of staff to an attorney general. If this had been done to Barack Obama, all hell would break loose. And it should. And Barack Obama's statement is pathetic. Let me just say this. Where does it go from here? They ought to release both FISA court applications where they sought the warrant. The one in the summer and the one in October. So we know exactly what they were doing. That's number one. Number two, Congress needs to see the daily presidential intelligence briefings over the past year or so. Those are the beginnings of a serious investigation. Number three, for the Republicans in Congress, you control the majority. If the Democrats do not want to assist, and they won't, because I'm starting to think Chuck Schumer and the others are participating in all this cover-up activity, then plow ahead without them. But this is important to the country. We cannot have a sitting presidential administration unleashing 6 federal agencies, intelligence and law enforcement. I don't mean the president personally sitting there and saying, you know what, Valerie, let's go get him. Obviously, the Attorney General and the FBI were involved in this. This is how you get a FISA court application prepared and submitted.
Do you think former President Obama was involved in this? And if so, how much was he involved?
I'm not Nostradamus here. I just think that we ought to find out. But I will tell you this. He's more involved than he says. I mean, it's his
yeah. There you go. That kind of spells it out pretty well. Levin is a very bright guy, a constitutional attorney, part of, as he mentioned, Department of Justice official. He's not a dumb guy. He put this stuff together pretty easily. And, guys like him are definitely needed on the constitutional side to keep these people honest.
Yeah, exactly. Keep them honest. Sure.
But so like I say, the bigger picture though is really what will people on the other side allow their side to do to get away with? At what point do you draw the line and say, you know what, this comes back on us when Trump turns bad? And you better pray that he doesn't, because if he does, a lot worse can come of this. So I sure hope he doesn't, and I doubt that liberals are going to get any scruples and any morals. They're going to continue to do what they're doing, and who knows how far this goes, man. I mean, this could literally revolt or turn into a civil war, result in a civil war. I mean, you can see it unwinding, with the internet speeding up the amount of information that we get, the anger building faster and faster and faster, the polarization of the nation. This is, it's not good. People better get a grip, man, because when conservatives decide to go off, it's not going to be good.
Well, I mean, and it can spiral, and it can spiral fast. The face space, obviously we all utilize the old Facebook, and just hearing people's really visceral reactivity, and I don't even mean just people. I mean, I have a few people of note. I mean, we all kind of follow people on our Facebook page, and seeing some of their reaction and some of the things they're saying, it's insane, really. I mean, but it's just crazy, because it becomes one of those things like, it happens to be the left side I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. They're like tolerant. Hey, everybody, cool. I'm cool with you. Everything is cool as long as you think like me. When you stop thinking like me, then we have a huge fucking problem. And that's something, obviously, and it creates this kind of intellectual dishonesty that we just see all the time that just frustrates the shit out of me. Again, not that I have all the fucking answers, but it's just like, it definitely does, man. It just, when people just turn a blind eye and just, I honestly, I posted it on my Facebook page if you want to check it out. I don't know if you'll see it by the time you hear this, but, it was from MSNBC. And they literally just broke it off, man, on how liberals just stay in their same liberal bubble. A lot of these college campuses and universities, they have like one Republican out of like a whole sea of liberals. And so everyone just stays in their liberal bias and just, confirms their own horse shit. And so when they get out in the real world, they really get kind of sliced up a little bit. But I mean, like you said, man, it could really, really go ugly. And it just, like the clip I saw the other day in Berkeley, of course that was Berkeley, but it could easily go. I mean, like you sent me a great metaphor. It was like, this really is a powder keg, ladies and gentlemen, and just waiting for the spark. And I hope it doesn't happen, man. We really got to get it together because, man, like Pat said, this shit could spiral so fucking fast, dude. And the other side is they're not throwing Molotov cocktails, bro.
No, we're actually good enough shots to get those shoot those out of the air, so it rains down on them.
Yeah, it's not gonna be pretty. It's just yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm perplexed at we need to have a psychiatrist on, a sociologist, some people that can come on here and explain how this group think complete implosion of minds as a nation, of people that can't see reality no matter how you point it out to them, right? We talked about that before. We really need to have a sociologist on who can go, well, this is what's going on, and yeah.
He will literally use the same terms, like you just said, groupthink. He'll use the same shit we've talked, confirmation bias, which creates cognitive dissonance when presented with alternative facts which would shut your shit down. I mean, right. It's pretty standard operating procedure, man. Like everybody swears, they know, and the truth is definitely to be found in there somewhere. But what people are doing now, man, I wish there was like an alternative universe, bro. I've thought about this the last couple of days. If Trump lost and Hillary won, and then he went and did all of this shit, like, hey man, I'm gonna file of this, and all of the, it would just be like, can you imagine that side's reaction on how we need to grow up and whatever, all of it. You could just hear it and see it already.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no. And, anyway, I'm baffled by the mindset, dude. I'm completely baffled by it. They, the peace, love, and joy, give everybody everything for free and open borders and everything else. They just can't do the math. They don't understand it. It's like today, I tweeted to a guy that's actually a doctor and a former, pilot in the Air Force. And he was talking about Republicans potentially not repealing Obamacare, and I just tweeted and said, get the government out of healthcare. Period. It's the subsidies that the government put in is what drove the friggin' price up, so nobody can afford it. And now the middle class is going to get crushed even more if they don't do it. The money we have to put out. This is what puts people in the poorhouse by the millions, man. Is this kind of stuff. And these people don't get it, man.
But they fell for the okie doke, dude. Their premiums went through the fucking roof. They couldn't choose their own doctor, but yet, he said it. That fucking cult of personality cat said it. Speaking to what you were just kind of alluded to, did you hear the 300 plus that were arrested in the last few days trying to come to the country who were arrested for trying to, get into some kind of terrorist business, but were...
Oh, yeah, they detained 300 people.
Right.
Yeah, and I guarantee they're between ages 20 and 40 men who are, not good guys.
Well, I mean, I don't, like I said, the threat comes in many shapes and forms. Like, again, we stress discernment on this show, and we all have to know that, in fact, that is the case. It definitely comes in many shapes and forms. And for me, I'm not telling that story to say, for me, Jeff Wilson, is not to say, you know, Islam is your enemy necessarily, but in what we're seeing today, what's happening today, the radicalization that we're seeing throughout the world, and specifically, man, what's happening to our women, these sexual assaults, is just, you know the nature of the threat.
Right. Yeah, well.
And again, you know, it's pervasive, dude. Again, know the nature of the threat. I can't stress that enough.
It's not going away.
It's not.
Right.
And you know, what else? You got something? What were you gonna say?
No. I'm hanging out. Just.
Well, it's strange because I've honestly been scoping out Asian news, man. Like what we're tripping on Russia and all this other stuff. I think it's because we're recognizing the threat. You know, Putin and China, they're trying to create this kind of Eurasian market, which is happening, and they're trying to frame it as a world, kind of a post-Western world, and we're seeing it happen, man. There's a lot of different alliances going on over there that we're not necessarily seeing because we're paying attention to so much of this stuff over here. In the Philippines, man, obviously that, like I told you before, I mean, a lot of these Navy commercials, when you see at the end when they pull out, they're pulling out around the South Pacific. And just the other day, down in the Philippines, what they call the ASEAN 50. It's just pretty much a bunch of 50 nations in that region, which the kind of a summit in the Philippines. They were pretty much pissed about what's going on, the militarization in the South China Sea, but they can't really say it because you got a lot of countries down there who are pro-West, and you got a lot of countries who are, you know, China's vying for their attention as well. But they're literally trying to kind of pass legislation with their treaties to basically demilitarize the land features down there in the South China Sea. But we already know they're already placing SAMs down there. I mean, this is going to be a huge thing. I mean, one of our first episodes I talked about during the Obama administration, Vietnam had their arms embargo lifted, and they're, of course, one of our allies. I mean, this is just kind of that chessboard slowly forming for conflict, ladies and gentlemen, in the South China Sea, man. While we trip on all this stuff.
Mad Max on steroids for the remaining oil.
Essentially, yeah, those Spratly Islands and all of that down there. I mean, that's big business, man. I mean, that's again these alliances, man. Iran, Russia, China. I mean, Africa. You have so much. All of this stuff we've talked about on the show, proxy armies, etc. Josh Howard talked about it. How China does the same thing with their proxy armies in Mozambique. Russia does it. Man, there's a big focus on it, and it really is, ladies and gentlemen, about oftentimes natural resources. So as much as we want to get tripped out about all the other stuff, North Korea too, brother, man, those guys launched a few missiles, and China's like, what the fuck are you doing? Those guys are losing their mind, dude. They just took out, you talk about the chess game, and this kind of goes into the whole South China Sea thing. Kim Jong-un just took out his brother in Malaysia with some high-tech VX liquid, dude. I don't know if you heard how it all played out.
One of the girls got sick that had it on her. Did she? Gloves that put it on his face. Yeah.
Oh.
I think they had latex gloves on, and then gloves over that with the liquid on it. Ouch. And put it over his face.
Detox after that,
remember they walked up behind him and put their hands over his face?
Yeah.
And walked away, and he was like, what the hell's going on? And then he got sick a while later and died.
So he's that's Kim Jong-nam. He was kind of on the plate to be a potential successor, a more Western-friendly successor to Kim Jong-un. So Kim Jong-un almost, you know, on a House of Cards tip, kind of got rid of him preemptively before, you know, that could even be an option. So, you know, huge, you know, big things, man. Seriously, going on over in China. Like I said, South China Sea, that whole area, man. It's not to say what we're talking. It actually it is. The shit we're talking about here is a huge distraction. While that Asia stuff going on over there, attacks in Pakistan, alliances with, you know, China, India. It's crazy, dude. It's really crazy. There's so much more going on that we even kind of sort of hear about.
Well, and now you see the Hague. There's a big investigation that they're charging Putin and Russia within the invasion of the Ukraine, when the overthrow of the Ukraine and trying to steal them away for resources, as I've said many times, was brought about by our country and by Europe.
The financial aspect, the banking.
Right. And so we've already been down that road, explaining that, and here the Hague is trying to build a case against Russia for invading Crimea and the Ukraine and everything like that. You can just see the gears in motion to make a case for war.
It is a slow move, and that's why it's so fascinating to see how it does work, man. There's like the slow machinations through propaganda, through just like slow, just different moves.
What about the people? What about the people before World War I and World War II? Those people did not have the internet to do research. They didn't have the ability to see the reports that we check into. They didn't have the accessibility to old intel people who knew the game and other things like that. But there were still people smart enough to see through the game and how the war was being fomented, right?
Oh, no, absolutely. But, I mean, Jesus, can you imagine the ability, obviously there's that lack of ability of getting that word out, man. It just obviously makes all the difference in the world.
Right. Yeah, no, it does. But, I just sit there and think back, if I could go back in time before one of those wars and just listen to some of the people who are explaining what's really going on and everybody laughing at them like they're laughing at us.
I've always, and this will happen someday in some dimension in my world, I want to go back sometime and then like pull out a cell phone and just be like, dude, check this out. They're like, what the fuck? He's a witch. No, but another thing is kind of like this intellectual dishonesty. I just have checking my notes here and I didn't want to forget about it. This like intervention with Russia's supposed intervention with our election, which, as you alluded to earlier, was way more of an internal U.S., and you even said it in numerous shows, man, patriots from inside of our government were responsible for, making sure the news got out about Hillary Clinton. But this kind of selective pissed offness about U.S. intervention, blah, 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 it's just really, it's really kind of pulling everyone's punk card on how no one really remembers, and this is kind of selective history. Like, we've been everywhere, rigging elections, taking people out, what Clinton Foundation calls regime change. This has been going on for 80 some years. Name it. And it's been from soft coups to some diabolical hardcore shit. But now, now everybody's against selectively geopolitical experts and experts on Russian fucking history and Putin and, all right, Sorry, I wish I could get as upset at you, but like as you, but like why? Where the fuck have you been? I get what you're saying, but where have you been? Now you're just falling for the wrong shit.
Well, and let's go back to the wiretapping stuff for just a second.
Sure.
Judicial Watch has filed a lawsuit, and several other groups have filed lawsuits to get this information to really go after the past administration or the players in all of this, and so they're in search of this, and then also the head of the FBI, Comey doing the old telling the Department of Justice to refute and turn down these claims by Trump.
What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?
And now we know that Comey's brother did the accounting services for the Clinton Foundation, right? So
now we know there was an actual fucking FISA warrant. So it's just like, what are you talking? Literally contradicted within 24 hours.
Yeah. So, and Comey, with the new reports coming out saying that the FBI, at his direction, was willing to pay for, and I think it might be WikiLeaks might have the documents.
Yes.
But where it was, we're willing to pay for this false information, this false dossier on Donald Trump's connection to Russia.
Yes,
so they were building complete false bullshit on Trump.
Thank you for bringing that up, dude. I totally forgot that. That kind of broke today.
This is, and look.
Fuck, dude.
My friend Dave Zadie that was just on with us last week.
Yes.
Former assistant director of counterespionage. former CIA and FBI top dog, great guy. I always got along with him great.
He's Jason Bourne.
He's a badass. Where he's like, when I knew Comey, he was a stand-up guy above reproach. And, you just wonder if the Clintons actually did get to him and turn him, right?
Just seeing what has happened, it's like, dude, you have to judge a fucking tree by its fruit, man. It's like, you know what I mean? Occam's razor type shit. Like the most simple, well, actually not always, but the most simplest answer is usually the most reasonable. But it's like, when we've seen the last 9 months of that guy's career and what he's done, like flip-flopping right before the election, like he was doing some crazy shit, man. Somebody had gotten to him, clearly.
Yeah. And then
even now, like you said, the Justice Department, like, you must refute, and Donald Trump, you must fucking apologize. Like, what?
Right. Yeah. It's when does an FBI guy, especially the head of it, get involved in that way? That's politics.
No, absolutely. That's definitely not their purview, dude. They're supposed. Clearly, like I said, he clearly was political, in my estimation, a while ago. But when I heard him say, like, telling, he must, recuse or whatever, pull back what he said, and Justice Department must like completely refute, and like, oh, I'm like, whoa. And then to find out there was the FISA warrant, and it's like, and we're even, dude, it's what, Monday? We're about to find out, and this week's gonna be just replete with just all of this madness about this wiretapping and what really was going on, who ordered it, etc. And we're not going to get that from the mainstream media, though. Well, we're just going to get more information on the veracity of, like, was there a tapping and the nature of the tapping, and they're going to at least have to, because it's a FISA warrant, there's a paper trail, they're going to be like, okay, there was a warrant, like you said, they asked for it twice, once in December, one in October, and they were pretty much, like I said, based around those 2 Russian banks. They found nothing. That's why Trump was so brazen with it, that 6 a.m., like, yep, they tapped me, they found nothing. Like, he knew already, and then the next morning they're like, oh, he's so crazy. They said they tapped him, and come to find out, he was absolutely fucking correct. And now we're about to find out who tapped, why, all of that. It's right. Crazy, dude. This is fucking nuts, dude. Seriously. And this is what we talked about right before he got elected, dude. I'm like, when he gets elected, if he gets elected, that deep state it's like JFK style, dude. You're surrounded by fucking Judases, man, who are deeply entrenched into, like, the swamp, I guess he called it. And they're just going to do all they can to just keep fucking with him, dude.
And now, did you hear what Ben Carson said today and how it's been twisted?
No, I didn't.
So Ben Carson is being accused of calling slaves immigrants, right? Where that's not what he said. Some pretty well-known African American actors and some other people are basically saying "F you," Carson, you're this, you're that. And his words were things like, and every human being, regardless of their ethnicities or their background, they have a brain, the human brain. There's nothing in the universe that even begins to compare with the human brain. And he goes on and he's talking about just, good things, his knowledge of the brain, things like that, the billions of neurons, hundreds of billions of interconnections. It remembers everything you've ever seen, everything you've ever heard. I could take the oldest person here, make a little hole right here in the side of your head and put some depth electrodes into their hippocampus and stimulate, and they would be able to recite back to you verbatim a book they read 60 years ago. So he's going through all this stuff, right? Wow. This guy's super intelligent.
That's heavy.
And he goes, and so he gets down to, it can't be done to reverse the human brain. We need to concentrate a little less on what we can't do and a little more on what we can do. After all, this is America. This used to be known as a can-do society, not the what can you do for me society, but the can-do society. And then he goes, that's what America is all about, the land of dreams and opportunity. There were other immigrants who came here in the bottom of slave ships, worked even longer and even harder for less and nothing. But they too had a dream that one day their sons, daughters, grandsons, granddaughters, great-grandsons, great-granddaughters might pursue prosperity and happiness in this land. So that was his words, and it's being twisted to the point where, of course, like Samuel L. Jackson is losing his fucking mind. Samuel L. Jackson has just gone off the deep end on this stuff.
I'd have to read it.
But this is that where
it's very reactive, dude. It's very
liberals fabricate shit to be mad about.
Well, and I think from the larger context, it stokes, I think, you know what I mean, what the fuck we're talking about. We gotta have everyone pissed on so many different levels, dude. We cannot have this kind of shit. A person of color, fucking Pat Miletich, having dialogue about, you know what I mean? We have to stifle that, because the more we have to keep people entrenched in their camps, dude. You and I are a threat to this kind of fucking order, dude, because clearly we're gonna get along. We do get along. I love you like my brother, et cetera, et cetera. But it's just like they need to plant all of these seeds, and they have. And the more they can continue to get your Samuel L. Jacksons or whomever else, I didn't read it, so I can't really speak too much to it, but you're right. They get people to kind of be very reactive and just kind of speak on some shit completely out of context. Which, I mean, again, man, I hate to say it's leading to some huge civil/race war, but
Dude, it's not going to lead to a race war. It's going to lead to a war.
That'll be a part of it, though. That's what I'm
right.
saying. No. Dude, it'll be race again. Like every fucking cylinder we're talking about. It'll be race, rich, gender, poor. Fucking poor, all of it, dude. All of it. The more and more we can see less of each other is like Pat Miletich, human being. Jeff Wilson, human being. They can't have that. We have to be fucking in some camp. And, you know, we can all have our camp. I'm not talking about not having camps, but it's just like now they're pitting each other fucking against each other as if, you know, we have no commonalities. And it's just like, what? You're fucking red, you're blue, you're black, you're white, you're Muslim, or whatever, fucking off with your head. You know, it's just, we're getting to a point where it's like you said, it's a tinderbox, dude, and it's waiting for a fucking spark, man. Again, my opinion, this is the Conspiracy Farm by fucking design. By design.
These people are...
And you have your Soroses, man. I was just reading some stuff in Romania. He's got machinations going on in Romania trying to get, you know, basically the same stuff started, trying to, you know, foment madness.
Oh yeah. No,
trying to get that
everywhere.
Federalized police or whatever the hell they call it over there. I mean, it's still, I
think that Europe goes up before here, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, man. We're seeing. I'm anxious to see what happens with the French election with Marie Le Pen, and if she gets in, it sounds like. Did you hear they're trying to ask Barack Obama to run for president? I don't know if that's legal or not, but there was this big march
in France.
Yeah, they all were wearing Obama masks as a movement to try to get Obama to run for their president.
Hey, man, you know what? If that's what you really want.
Dude, that dude.
You guys have a good time with that one.
He's done. He's done his little part. He's
not done, dude. He still lives in D.C. in a friggin' mansion.
Well, I mean, as far as, you know, elected, who knows? He's on some House of Cards shit right now. I can tell you that right now, dude. And we're seeing it play out.
What did Valerie Jarrett do for him, and what does she know that she now lives with the Obamas?
Isn't that scary? That's like,
there's some weird menage a trois liberal shit going on over there, dude.
That's like Alice. That's like a weird Alice from the Brady Bunch living with the Obamas, like on some weird. Yeah, I noticed that the other day. Like she moved in. Yeah, you know some filthy. Again, going back to selective memory, the Podesta emails, ladies and gentlemen, when we talked about the hacking, etc. What did we hack? DNC shit on their blatant cheating and Podesta emails and spirit cooking and, oh yeah, I'm sorry. We'll go back to Trump grabbing pussies. I'm sorry. Let's be selective, intellectually dishonest as possible.
I want to keep an eye on this deep state stuff, man, and Podesta and the Wieners and all that stuff. None of this stuff's been forgotten.
Well, I sent you something, and I'm going to anxious to see if it plays out. There's supposed to be some kind of hearing tomorrow in federal court on literally the Wiener laptop and the things that were found on the Wiener laptop, which included stuff with Huma Abedin, obviously Anthony Weiner. So tomorrow, actually, supposed to go down in federal court, and we'll see if that's actually legit and if that goes down, because I don't think that went away, man, and I know that's not going to go away, and I think that is simmering, man. That is The pedo, I'll just level it. The pedo, because it's not Pizzagate, ladies and gentlemen. Because that's the thing, man. I've noticed lately. If you say Pizzagate, you're saying, oh, so you're saying it went down in the basement of these 2 pizza places. No, motherfucker. That's just a euphemism for the larger syndicate that we've talked about. Pizzagate is literally just a term to express the larger global trade in people, humans, etc., which...
And Pizzagate is on, that's the menu. How do you order different types of children?
Yeah. And it just happens to be going down in those places as well as a great many other.
So think about this, though, man. Think about when I think Trump, I think he's on a mission, dude. I think he is fully on a mission. And, think about going after Hillary for the Clinton Foundation, right? Think about truly dropping the hammer on Lois Lerner and Koskin and the scumbag that ran the IRS that was just such a cocky prick in his congressional hearings, just kind of smirking and looking at him like, you can't do anything to me, man. Obama's got my back. And now Obama and his administration wiretapping Trump and all this other stuff with the potential human trafficking and child trafficking and everything else. Do you see, we could seriously see if Obama and his group and people who are truly patriots of this country can beat these assholes to the pass, right? And drop the bomb on all of them, how the Democratic Party will completely and utterly implode, or on top of that, half the country will freak out and think it's a witch hunt and we'll have a civil war.
Well, that's why I told you yesterday, these things, it's spiraling fast. So I know Trump is still playing the game, but it's getting to the point, man, where he needs to get out in front of this, and he needs to get out in front of it and start really dropping hammers, because, all of this kind of horseshit about Russia could really mire his presidency down. And again, he is playing the game, man, because he knows when you pull that thread of this whole thing, it really shakes the shit to the core. But at the end of the day, like I said, that whole pedo stuff is simmering, man, at the bottom of a great deal of this shit. And we'll see, man. We'll see. Like I said, he's surrounded by Judases, and I know he can only do so much. Because would you hear Sean Spicer? Do you hear he asked a portion of the staff or whatever to pull out their phones and check to see if they had apps that were recording shit? It's getting crazy in there, man.
Well, they just need to go through and clean house on all leftovers of the Obama administration. Clean them out.
Well, and even new hires. How do you know that whoever this freaking, new person you just hired wasn't just, nice, a fucking
Twitter accounts of the past, Facebook pages, who'd you vote for, who'd you support?
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff. You got to go through all of that and say, give me your Facebook and Twitter account right now.
Well, and that makes sense, too. They're saying, how much of his staff still hasn't been hired. Like, what the fuck, dude? Why are you in such a hire to a whole bunch of people who are just, adding more leaks to the, you got to definitely be prudent. Especially knowing with all these leaks, which, some of these things are just straight against the fucking law, but of course, those things don't get addressed, but,
Right.
Again, we'll see, man. This will be an interesting week, because this stuff with the wiretapping and stuff isn't going to go away, and like you said, they think they had a boy in the corner with this, but that this FISA stuff could really come back on them. And
tell you what, man, I think they've got to be saying to themselves, man, every time we try to corner Trump, he blasts us, right?
And it's only been a few weeks, man. It's literally
think about
like
it.
5 weeks.
Think about having iron giant balls and sending a tweet out that says, "Obama wiretapped me." That's
exactly. That was crazy, dude. That's what I was like, dude. This cat, he's just super. Yeah.
He's going to blow everything up.
He's super changing the game, and that is what I like about it, man, because we, as a 43-year-old guy who's seen all this, fucking politics play out all these years, it's really just a shit show that needs to be seriously shaken up. And he's doing it, man. Like I said, for me, he's not going to be a silver bullet. He's not going to be fucking perfect, but,
Yeah, but remember, dude, in the very beginning when he started doing kind of good, we weren't sure, nobody believed he was actually going to make it, right? And I was not a fan of his, you were not a fan of his, we were like, this guy is This guy is a liberal in conservative clothing. I think he's
exactly a ringer for Hillary.
Running interference for Hillary, all that good stuff, right? And dude, he's turned out to be exactly the opposite. We were completely wrong.
Yeah, I mean, from my estimation, like, I don't know all the super inside baseball, but like I said, he seems to be trying to do the right shit with the immigration shit. I don't think that was some fucking racist, xenophobic shit. That was security shit. And he said he rescinded the original executive order today and modified it. I mean, I wasn't buying the mainstream media shit on that, but things like getting rid of the death tax, man. When you die and you leave your kids stuff, there's no death tax under Donald Trump. That's good shit, man. Like, if you're making under $30,000 a year, there's no income tax. Like, these things are good, ladies and gentlemen.
I had a liberal friend arguing with me years ago about that, going, no, man, that's like, you're getting money for free. You should get taxed on that. And I'm like, that's money that's already been taxed, you moron.
Yeah. If not the amount of fucking taxes anymore, it's like. But he's killing it, man. The Dow's crashing through 21,000. I think it might have dropped back down, but I think that's also what's spurring this like irrational just get him out of there, because he's doing what he said he was going to do.
Right.
He's smashing the paradigm, which let justice be done till the heavens fall, man. I'm like I said, he's not going to be perfect, dude, but we need it. This is part of the big paradigm shift, which is going to carry over for, Brexit was a part of it. All these different countries are a part of this paradigm shift of kicking this globalist mentality to the curb, man. It's, we're over it. And we're seeing it didn't bring the roses and sunshine that they said it would. So.
Right. Well, I think we've covered quite a bit tonight.
We did.
I think we've jumped around a little bit, but we stayed pretty focused. Not bad for ADHD sufferers.
Well, I mean, there's so much that's gone on, man. We definitely can't stay in one lane with the fucking, the last literally week since we've recorded. So,
True.
And I'm sure until before next time we will have much more to cover. But all right, man. Thank you for your time, sir. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thanks to all the fans for listening, and support our sponsors. Jeff, if you want to go through those a little bit.
Well, we added a couple new ones on the website. We got the Gentleman's Cooperative. If you want to go get dipped fresh, get your clothes fitted very customized and very tight and nice, go out to Gentleman's Cooperative there in Chicago.
Beautiful suits.
Yeah, very, 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 very nice, man. Very nice. We also have NH Firearms, man. These guys, if you go to their website, they're pretty much a one-stop shop for all kind of different things Patriot, whether it be clothing, food, firearms. They're definitely supporters of the cause, man. So go check them out at NH
And they build beautiful weapons.
Yes. And you can see either Pat or Mai's page from the Gentleman's Cooperative. We were displaying some of their wares. You can check out my solo podcast, which I have a little bit more of a lighthearted conversation at It's Me Speaking to You. You can go check that podcast out, as well as a friend of mine. I'm going to let those guys ride on our show for a little while. The Wrestle Talk podcast, some good friends of mine, Renee Martinez and Joe Lance. They talk some professional wrestling with some heavy hitters, Ricky Steamboat, Ted DiBiase, Tully Blanchard, you name it, some of the heavy hitters. Go check them out at Wrestle Talk Podcast Live. And am I forgetting anybody? I think that's about it, man.
And American or Iowa Bison. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Iowa Bison. I just destroyed some bison tonight. How dare I forget? If you want to get some of that nice, lean, grass-fed Iowa Bison, iowabison.com. Go check those guys out.
Beautiful concealed clothing from?
Absolutely, the C4, ladies and gentlemen. Go check them out, man. If male and female, if you want to roll nice and concealed carry, nice and sleek and tight, the C4.com. Go check them out. And once again, man, this has been my pleasure. Another installment of the Conspiracy Farm.
Jeffrey.
Absolutely, brother. Till next time, my friend.
Yes, sir. Talk soon.
Peace.